If you are lacking something, the job is to create value into the world and then extract your value from the value you create. The reason people don't do things they don't want to do is because they don't believe it will work.
Today, we get to listen in on a conversation that blends world-class communication with world-class coaching. Our guests are Phil M. Jones, one of the most influential voices on persuasive language and behavioral communication, and Drew Thompson, head coach at Real. This episode digs into the real mechanics of influence, leadership, practice, and what it takes to help people believe in themselves long before the results show up. You will hear real stories, simple frameworks, and practical examples that can shift how you lead, how you speak, and how you build confidence in others. It is sharp, honest, and full of insights you can use today. Shall we begin?
Welcome to another episode of Real Perspectives Unlocked. Today, I have an amazing guest, the one, the only, Phil M. Jones. How are you, sir?
I am wonderful, thank you. Thank you for being here.
I'm so excited. Your new space is gorgeous.
It's pretty cool, though, that I'm on your show in my studio in our town, and this came together in a really random way. I love it when stuff works.
It works perfectly. So here's what I want to do. I want to go through, you are what I would call a practical behavioral economist.
Wow.
For business.
Okay.
You study communication at the core of what you do.
Correct.
At the core. And here's where I want to start. Today, I want to go over your entire career. I want to go over what makes you tick.
Okay.
But I think what's fascinating is that your entire career started on one single letter. And that's M.
Okay.
Why?
Tell me what you mean by my whole career started on one single letter.
So here's what I mean. You have an international communications presence, consulting, speaking business.
Sure.
You're not Phil Jones. You're Phil M. Jones.
That's correct.
There's a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
Why that middle letter?
I mean, there's a very practical answer to this that's then become a very deliberate response that there's then been, how do you build a brand? So there are a lot of Phil Joneses in this world. I started this small training, coaching, consulting business circa 2008. And I did like what many of us do is like, I'm going to get a domain name, right? I'm going to build a website. I wonder if I can get philjones.com. No. Did a little online search like for Phil Jones, and we're in somewhat trouble. What did my web design guy say? I said, I can't get Phil Jones, but what's your middle initial? And M is my middle initial. I like leaving some intrigue as to what it stands for. It's not that sexy, so the intrigue is way sexier. So we found philmjones.com. That existed. And I said, that'll do. What we then said is, well, how do you make that work? Remember at the time here, if you're not familiar, there's a guy called Phil Jones that was a Manchester United soccer player, had just gone through a massive transfer. Not only that, it is a common name at its core. Not only that, the Phil Jones football player was also being touted as the future England captain. Here's where it gets even more interesting. Is if you go to Phil Jones speaker, like a search, you think I could own, like in my niche of what it is that I do, you find that Phil Jones is also a bass amplifier company. So I'm like, there's not a lot of open water around my name. But once I insert the middle initial, there are no other Phil M. Joneses in this world. So we've gone big on it through the years. Like we insist it shows up on print. But even in early days, is if I was working for a corporate client with my brand, I'd change the color of the M to their corporate color. So we'd be finding their hex codes, we'd be finding their Pantone numbers, and anytime we do slide decks, anytime we do proposals, the M in my brand name would change to their corporate colors. And it's allowed us to do two things. One is very intentionally build a brand of differentiation in a name that's very samey just by changing one detail. But the other thing that's allowed us to be able to do is to get louder on something from a differentiation point of view that most people would miss. Like it's a tiny, 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 massive detail that if we don't stand up for it, you get dragged back into the sea of sameness. And it's taught us that you have to protect your unique edges, which has been a really cool lesson as the years have gone on, is people are trying, just it's Phil Jones, it's Phil Jones, it's Phil Jones. It's like, nope, we need the M. The other big thing, though, it's done for me is to allow me to play in two different versions of myself. And like, Phil M. Jones is the guy that stands on stage. Phil M. Jones is the guy that writes books. Phil M. Jones is the guy that leads big businesses. Phil M. Jones is the guy that can solve big problems inside corporations. But I still want to just be Phil sometimes. So it's allowed me to be able to have this two versions of self depending upon what moment or what modality it is I'm serving. And sometimes I have to very consciously switch between those roles.
So you still do this. The M still changes color for whatever corporate client you're working with?
A lot of the time. Yeah, we've become synonymous with what we've done with the color orange. I mean, you see how heavily we lean into things that are brand. I'm very big on it. I mean, we've got freaking orange cords and all sorts. So it would be an intentional move, but it would be a move that would show a sign of partnership. So it almost comes at a point inside a client relationship that says this goes from you're hiring us to now we're working together. So there would become a transition that if we were creating collaborative documents inside a joint venture agreement with a company that we were co-creating, and it was being branded as Phil M. Jones, the M would change to their corporate colors as a sign of partnership.
Where is that reflected?
Lots of different areas. Proposals, takeaway documents, PDFs. I do a lot virtually as well. So I have a watermarked version of my logo that sits in the top corner of my screen if I'm on Zoom, etc. We'll change the color of the M in that simple graphic that shows in the top corner.
I'm curious, do the clients notice?
Sometimes, yes.
But it's more subconscious that they notice, right?
Yeah, I think they always notice. Sometimes they say something.
Fascinating.
They particularly like it that, say I deliver a 90-minute webinar in an environment and it's somewhat conversational in the webinar style and it's training related. If I produced a 2-page tip sheet, instead of it being 2-page tip sheet, my logo, it would be like Phil M. Jones times insert name of company, and we build a template that co-brands that. We run their color palette through it. We'd run my logo with their color in it into that, and then we say, there you go, there's your notes or your takeaway sheet from that event.
So what I'm hearing you say is surgical precision. That's how I think about it, right?
High levels of intention beyond the realms of normalcy. And if you care about details that other people tend to take for granted, it is way easier to be able to stand out with the exceptions than it is on the things that are the same as everyone else. And I know lots of our audience here in this conversation are real estate professionals in some capacity. So many of them try and differentiate on all the things that are the same as what everybody else does. Like their points of differentiation are actually points of sameness. Yet what many of them could do is differentiate significantly easier on something that is over here or over here that is completely foreign to what anybody else does. Like people say to me, like, well, like what should it say on my yard signs? I'm like, well, firstly, like how big should they be and what shape should they be? Might be a better question to ask before we say what does it say on it. Like where does it sit in the yard? Like if you want to be seen as being different, then do something different. Don't do the same slightly, marginally, like differently polished.
Don't try to do funnier signs to get someone to laugh when they drive by. Yeah. It's a bigger circular sign.
Correct. Change the shape, change the location, do something demonstrably different if you want to be seen as different.
Where does this come from? I know in my research, you started a car wash at age 13, right? And you grew that with a bunch of friends.
That's right.
You realized, what was that? Something called labor arbitrage.
Apparently so. I didn't know that at the time.
Labor arbitrage, you saw that you could get your friends to do it and radically scale the business faster. Where did that come from?
The real place where that came from is I wanted a pair of sneakers that were a particular pair of Nikes that we called Nikes in the UK. And I did what most 13-year-old kids would do when they wanted a pair of sneakers is I went and asked my parents for the money. And what happened was I got the typical response that when I told them how much they were, they said, no bueno, right? Like you don't need something at that kind of standard. Then what happened is my good friend Paul was traveling to the United States of America. He was going to Orlando for his summer vacation. And what I learned is the sneakers that I wanted in the US were the same price in US dollars as what they were in GBP. And the currency exchange at the time was around 2 to 1. So these are half-price sneakers. My buddy's going and he could grab them for me. So I did the next thing that any cool kid would do is I went and asked mum and dad, good news is I can get the sneakers for half off. Can I have the sneakers? The answer was pretty similar to the first one. It was no. However, what my dad said to me, he said, you could come and work with me. And I said, what does that look like? And my dad's a self-employed construction worker, and this was to go on a building site with him to be useful in whatever capacity that could be. And I remember asking my dad at the time, I said, how much will you pay me? He said, I'll pay you what you're worth. And I didn't understand what that meant at the time, and I didn't like the answer at the time, but I decided to go and follow through on the work. Now, the sneakers, I believe, from memory, were like the equivalent of 40 or 45 pounds, somewhere around that is what I needed to be able to raise. I got up at 5:30 in the morning. I went to work. My dad got in the van, got to the job site. And when I got to the job site on the outskirts of London, my job was to take a big pile of garbage and put it into a skip, which is what Americans would call a dumpster. So like a big metal container, contents of the roof is in the yard, needs to go in the dumpster.
So just for context here, for anyone watching or listening, just imagine you, Phil Jones, in construction gear, picking up heavy debris, putting it in a dumpster.
That's right.
And what were you worth?
Well, what my dad said is if I fill the dumpster, he'll pay me £20. I'm like, okay. Now I look at the pile, and the pile of stuff is bigger than the hole in the dumpster. So I said, well, if I fill the dumpster, then what happens? He said, then I can get it picked up and taken away and get another one. So I said, if I fill it twice, what will you pay me? He was like, 40. Okay, here we go. So I get to work and I fill it once, it gets picked up. I get to work, I fill it twice, it gets picked up. Now this takes us to about 1:32 p.m. in the afternoon. At that point in time, Dad's still up on roof doing clever stuff, like real intelligent work that stops roofs from leaking. And I'm wondering what to do. I've put a broom around the yard. I said to Dad, what else do you need me to do? He says, nothing, but what you could do is you could knock on the door of the homeowner to see if there's anything else that you could do that would help. So I sure did that, knocked on the door, anything I can do to help. And he sent me down to the basement. So you do some tidy up down here in the basement, you can move these boxes around, etc. And I got to work and I did that. At the end of the day, we're all wrapped up, we're all done, everything's awesome. What I get is I get an envelope from the homeowner. I open the envelope on the van on the way home, and the envelope has £45 in it. I'm like, cha-ching, I got paid, and I got a tip. Like, this is happy days, best working day of my life. What then happened is I got home that evening, and my dad said, I probably need to give you your wages for today. And my dad gave me the £40 he promised me. See, I got paid the 45 from the homeowner, I got paid the 40 from my dad that was promised for the extra, and I realized at like 13 years of age is you don't get paid for the time you spend on something, you get paid for the outcome that you achieve for others, and you get paid fundamentally what you're worth. So I made this £85. I got a problem now, right? How much do I need for the sneakers? Less than that. So I give my buddy the money to go get me the sneakers. What do I do with the rest of the money? What I chose to do was I went to a store called Halfords that is like a general store in the UK. I bought a bucket, a sponge, a chamois leather, some car shampoo, and thought, well, if I can knock on people's doors and offer to be useful, chances are I might be able to rinse repeat the same process. So that's what I did. I knocked on doors, invited people to have their cars washed, washed their cars there and then you get to a point where you realize you can't be in all the same places at once, and friends would be like, we like what it is you're doing. I'm like, well, can you help? And they asked me the same question my dad asked me. They asked how much would you pay me? And I said, I'll pay you what you're worth. And I learned that I could make a margin between what they were worth to me and what the client was prepared to pay. And we had a good time for a little good time.
You took wanting a pair of sneakers and turned it into a car wash business.
That's right.
That showed that you could do door-to-door sales. All right, so here's something you don't know on my side. Something very similar. I wanted a Huffy bike. Okay. When I think I was 14, my mother was an attorney, and she had all these high-profile clients, right? What did they all want? They all collected nostalgia-based artifacts, if you will, in their house. So I noticed some of them talking about movies, Casablanca, like the really old-time movies. Then I noticed if I went to Blockbuster, remember Blockbuster? Yeah. They had all these posters on the wall. And what would they do with them every Friday? They'd throw them out. Yeah. So I just went to the manager and like, hey, man, can I just take them? I started taking them from the dumpster. Turned them around and sold them to my mom's law clients. And I said, hey, here you go. It was a huge 15, 16-foot poster of Back to the Future. And sure enough, they started paying me $5, $10. Was able to get the bike, but transforming that and saying, hey, I could go wash cars.
It's value creation. All you're looking at is that if you are lacking something, the job is to create value into the world and then extract your value from the value you create. That's all I've learned it to simplify to be. And we're in the business of solving other people's problems. And your value is in direct correlation to the size of the problem you solve and what that's worth to them. Like, I didn't make money. I helped local people not need to have to go out on a Sunday afternoon and wash a car instead of spending time with the kids. Like, it was well worth them paying me £5, £6, £7, £8 for me to clean their car, even if it wasn't done perfectly, even if it wasn't immaculate. That's a job they didn't have to do, that they didn't have to find somebody else to be able to do it for them. It was like, that'll do.
So you see this skill you have to solve problems. You skip university, you go straight to Debenhams, am I saying that right?
That's right.
And you are the youngest sales manager, 18, to people I imagine are twice, 3 times your age.
Yeah, all over the page. I mean, different levels of experience. There are people there that are younger and temporary and weekend workers, and there are people that have been in the role 30, 40 years, and then there's a core in the middle that this has been their career, their profession for 5, 6, 8, 15 years, and almost all of them were significantly older, and in that role, in those environments, significantly more experienced.
So I'm going back to when I was 18. My ego was probably the size of this room.
Yep.
Okay. And you're obviously, you know how to sell, you know how to solve problems. You walk in, let's say Gertrude is 56. She's been selling there for the last 40 years. Can you talk me through a conversational failure where you learned that you had to use soft persuasion versus the, hey, I'm the new guy, I'm 18, I know what you should do? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I got a beautiful slap in the face from the first instance because I thought like the job title and the badge was enough to be able to help you to be able to tell people what to do. I think I got excited about the idea of being somebody's boss. And you think that being somebody's boss is to give them instructions and they do it. You learn very quickly that doesn't get you the outcome you're looking for. It gets you resentment, it gets you yeah, but it creates unnecessary friction. So I just got ridiculously curious, looking at what people who were very good at what they did. And if I wanted Drew to get better at something, I wouldn't tell Drew to get better at something. I'd know that Drew probably wants to get better at something. And say Darby, who's here, is our producer on the show, is if Darby was best in class at that, I'd say, Drew, I know that you're looking to get better at blank, and we both know that Darby is currently getting some fantastic results in that area. I've noticed there are 3 or 4 things that Darby does differently to what you do. Would it be helpful to you if you knew what those 3 or 4 things were? So I'd create this third persona in every piece of advice giving, that I wasn't telling you what to do. I was recognizing there was an outcome you'd like to achieve and that there was a model of excellence over here that we could extract value from. And then I can get that value to you through this third person. And it was the only way I could get stuff done in those environments because I was never the advice giver. I was merely the curator of better practices. And it made me obsessed with trying to model the behavior of people who are achieving levels of excellence in almost any area of life. They're very clear to see when you go looking for them. Yet most people are looking inwardly as like, how do I get better? How do I get better? Well, the clue's already out there somewhere. Like, it exists. Go see if you can reverse engineer how they're doing it and then apply that back to your unique circumstances, and it will work well. I think couple that with, in those environments, early days of my career, a few things. One is just optimism. I am insanely optimistic, often to a fault. That's never changed. But I find it helps me more often than it hurts me. It's like I just believe good in people. I believe good outcomes. I believe that it's more likely to be able to work out than otherwise. So you bring that level of optimism. You bring a hard work ethic too. And you're prepared to put yourself in situations that you're clearly uncomfortable in. I think people follow you differently. Because you're not showing up with an I know best mentality. You're showing up with a let's figure this out. Let me go first. I think it's going to work out just fine. Borrow some confidence from me. Let's go. And that's been my leadership style largely ever since.
I like what you just said there. And for those watching, I'm taking copious notes here. Borrow some confidence. Where did that come from? It's the same idea, right? As Sharon said a couple weeks ago when we were in Florida, I'm going to give you the gift of going second. So I'm going to start first, give you the gift of going second.
That's useful. If I'm to put the language on that entirely under the microscope, and I thinking what I learned to call story math, like how do the words add up, like that's a solid 70, 75, 80% B plus positioning of I'm going to give you the gift of going second. Because what it also does is it puts pressure on you to still get it somewhere as close to right as I got it.
Okay, fair enough.
Yet it's de-risked with increased risk because you now don't get the gift of innocence of being the one that went first. You go first, naivety is a friend. You go second and you get it wrong, you're a fool. So there is a gift and there is a subtraction in that too. It is, I think, borrowing confidence is seeing something in somebody else they haven't yet seen for themselves. And allowing them to see your belief in their possibility to achieve something that then has them going, well, I'm not sure yet I can, but I've seen that person do these things with a number of other people a number of times, and if they believe that I can do it, there's a strong possibility that I can do it.
Borrowing confidence is seeing something in somebody else that they don't see themselves.
They haven't yet seen for themselves.
I want to make this relatable to real estate teams, right? Because oftentimes, here's what I'll hear. Drew, I've got 15 people on the team. 3 of them are producing. How do I get the rest to produce?
Okay.
So how do you let them borrow your confidence to get them to produce?
Well, firstly, what are the 3 of them doing that the 12 are not that is different?
All right, so let's just say they're in the office every single day from 9 to 1, calling their sphere of influence, talking to them, just having real conversations. Hey, what's keeping you busy, Phil? Was thinking about you today.
Okay. And is that easy to do or hard?
Easy.
Sure.
Yeah.
So why are the 12 people not doing it?
Because 12 people say, I'm putting out content, I'm doing all of the things, I'm just not getting any traction. So they're in their head, they're discouraged.
Okay, but the 3 people that are producing are doing what?
They just call the people they know. Let me check in. Well, without saying check in, don't ever say check in.
So we've got 3 people over here doing something that works, and you're doing something over here that you're telling me is not working, yet these people are doing this that's working, and you're telling me that doing this is better than doing the thing that's working. Explain to me, like, what am I missing here?
How would you have that conversation with those people?
I'm just at it. I just had it. So are you saying that this over here won't work, or are you saying that you don't want to do it?
I don't want to do it.
Okay. Why?
I mean, because they're going to think I'm selling to them, right? Why would a realtor? Why would I call you?
Okay. So you don't have a purpose for the call that you feel comfortable with?
I mean, I would call to say, hey, I was just thinking about you. What's keeping you busy?
Okay, you could say that.
I don't want to say, hey, it's a business call, because now all of a sudden I'm that guy who's selling to his friends.
Yeah, but you actually sound like that if you say, hey, I was thinking of you, I was just wondering what's keeping you busy.
So good.
Because that's weird. Like, it is. I take the real estate scenario sometimes and compare it to like going on a luxury trip. If you've been on a luxury hotel, you've booked an important trip, you've had a lot of communication and interaction on the run up towards that. A lot of angst and a lot of love and care, and you want to be in very safe hands with whoever is supporting you in this trip's going to go well, the hotel's going to perform well, the resort's going to deliver. And then at the end of that trip, you want a fond farewell. But if you received a phone call 6 months later from an associate of that hotel that said, hey, I was thinking of you today, I just wonder what's keeping you busy, you'd be like, it's freaking weird.
Like, why are you calling me?
Correct. Because the context is now completely changed. Is the need to stay in high proximity and high touch during a transactional process that is emotionally charged and full of details is high. Like, I want you in my life during that period of time. But once you've delivered on your promise, your relationship's changed. The issue that these 12 agents have is people are trying to tell them that the job that is really hard is easy, just do it. You're not going to get people to do something that's really hard with confidence by telling them it's easy. You're going to get them to be able to realize what is it that's making them hard, and then help remind them that they've got a proven track record of doing hard things. They've got a proven track record of being able to develop new skills that they didn't previously have in the past. They've got a proven track record of being able to start here, get to 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 here. And what are they currently doing instead is hiding. And what's happening is people are giving them permission to hide. In the current climate that we're in as we record this back end of 2025, what you've got is a giant challenge. The busyness is for sale. And in real estate in particular, there probably is as much money being made right now teaching people to be a better real estate agent than there is in transactional fees associated towards the sale of real estate.
Selling homes.
Correct.
Yeah.
So if I can say, well, to sell more homes, you don't have to do the thing that you'd like to not be able to do. You can do this over here instead. Pay me, I'll teach you how to find the easy button. That feels like an easier decision to make than learn to do hard things. As leaders today, we have to help people do hard things, not stop doing the lazy thing over here, and recognize that the trouble is they don't know how to do it. And the reason that you've got people that are not making the calls is because they don't want to. The reason they don't want to is because they don't know how to. The reason they don't know how to is because they haven't got enough practice. And the reason they haven't got enough practice is because nobody's shown them how to practice. They believe that they need to go from crap to really good at first swing.
Well, you said in one of your podcasts, what I think is fascinating, why do people not rehearse what to say before they say it? Because they get a dopamine rush trying to solve a problem in mid-conversation.
That's right.
So that's the same idea here, right?
Correct. And if we're going to help that person borrow confidence, in that environment, I'd help them borrow confidence from their past. I'd simply go back in time. I'd say, so tell me the first memory you have of taking something you couldn't do and learning to be able to do it better. Like, what could that be for you? What's the first memory you have of being less than good at something and then trying it and getting instantly better?
Me?
Yeah.
Percussion.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you very quickly went from being like, I can do this, to then picking up an instrument, realizing like, I'm not very good at this, to then pretty quickly learning some basic drills to be like, I think I might be able to do this.
Yep.
And then surround yourself with a few other people that are like, well, I saw how he was playing it 2 years ago and I saw how he's playing it now. So if that person can grow, then I can grow too. And you start to get belief. The reason people don't do things they don't want to do is because they don't believe it will work. So borrowing confidence is about delivering people a version of belief that they can lean on.
Okay, so here's where my mind goes with that, because I think it's so interesting. Undergrad for me was jazz percussion, right, in business. One thing we did for my junior and senior year, we took apart the greats. So we took apart Art Blakey. We took apart Philly Joe Jones, but we didn't just take them apart. We deconstructed 4 of their biggest drum solos, note by note. And then we had to play them for a jury. A jury means you sit in front of the entire faculty, right? In doing so, we were borrowing, now see where I'm going here, we were borrowing their confidence.
Yes.
And what they did. Because in borrowing their confidence, we found our own.
Yeah,
and that influenced my playing. Yeah, you found that. It's kind of what you're talking about, yeah?
There's method there, right? And what you're saying is how you do anything is how you can do everything, or vice versa. Both ways around that plays. But we want people to get excellent results at things that are highly competitive and challenging, and we think we do that by telling them it's easy. That math equation doesn't add up.
It's frustrating.
What's likely to happen in the real estate industry, and I don't have a horse in this race, which is what makes it nice to be Switzerland, is you've got the entire industry shooting for agent count, believing the answer lies in volume. And why does the answer lie in volume? Because every external metric adds up on that. If you've got more agents and the average agent produces XYZ dollars back towards the brokerage, the team, whatever it might be, we can scale that math up to the moon, and this time next year we'll be Pasquillionaires, right? Like that game can play. Yeah, when you look at external economics on this, is the game is getting harder, which means it needs to require a greater level of dedication, precision, skill, commitment, etc. So every external metric says the agent count has to be going down. Transaction pressure is being compressed. Needs of consumers are requiring a higher level and higher caliber of expert that's going to support them in the decision-making process, all while everybody's thinking volume is going to fix it. Volume will fix it short term, but there's too much falling out of that because we have to own the fact the job's really freaking hard. And until you own the fact the job's really freaking hard, all we've got is this hamster wheel of people coming in looking for the easy way to make money, the easy way to make money. Come join us, we'll give you the new easy way, which is different to their easy way. But we're all selling a lie. It's not easy. Once you get to the point of accepting it's not easy, nor should it be, and nor should anything be easy that rewards you with high levels of praise, recognition, financials, etc., you start to get a different type of player. And this is what your real estate teams have an issue with, is they thought it was all about putting headcounts in. I got 2 good people, those 2 good people, they deliver this back towards my team. If I can get 6 more of them, then I've just 6x'd my earnings.
So if I hear you correctly, one, realizing that it's not easy. It is a hard business.
Correct.
Number two, realizing that learning and development, learning and education and training, that's the key, not Asian count.
Correct. And realizing that if you want to get really good at something, you're going to have to be able to do things you can't currently do. And you'll borrow your confidence in two ways. One is look at all the hard things that you've overcome in the past. A tiny action that we talk about in my book, Exactly Where to Start, is before you start any new venture, is don't write yourself a to-do list, write yourself a done-it list. What are all the things that you've already achieved in your life? What are all of the obstacles you've already overcome? What is everything you've already done? And you realize that your done-it list is this long and your to-do list is this long. And you're like, well, I borrowed some confidence from my past.
I've already done it.
Then what you do is you look for role models that are ahead of you in a race, and you reverse engineer saying, who are the people who are ahead of me in the same race that I'm gaining, and what can I learn from them? And then you stick yourself between those two sandwiches, and then you live a whole career in that space.
Okay, so living the whole career in that space, you changed from doing I'm going to call it softer skills sales in a department store, right? I worked at Macy's. I completely get it. To all of a sudden, now you're at what would be an Ashley's Furniture at TFS. Sure. Where you have to know if they walk out that door, they're gone.
Correct. It's a closing deal.
You have to get them to buy right now.
Yep.
Did you surround yourself with people that pushed you into DFS? How did you make the change? Why?
Inbound sales call. So as you learn very quickly in a retail management leadership capacity, you've got a glass ceiling pretty quick.
Sure.
Like you don't have the control over your earnings that you'd like. You're playing with some big numbers, you're playing with big people, but you're not seeing those big numbers back in yours. And you're like, if I spend the next 25 years here, I can get that promotion and that promotion and that
I'll
promotion.
run the whole store.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, or I could be a regional director, or I could make it to the city and be part of the C-suite there, etc. And you look at that trajectory and you're like, ooh. And I hit one of those glass ceilings that was pretty firm, where the only way if I got the next job there was if the person left or died, and he was in great shape and it didn't look like he was going anywhere. So like you start looking for a change. And I got an inbound phone call from a headhunting recruiter that somehow I got on their radar, and they told me about this other opportunity that then was aligned to the furniture retail business. And what I liked about that, it was retail that I understood and retail standards that are really important to me. And you come to what is our corporate offices here, and you see like we have retail space in our studio space. It's like I care about retail standards massively. So that was important transferring across. But the new challenge was, this is average transaction value. This is what the close ratios look like from traffic coming through the door. This is what many people would look at today as like an internet game of this is the traffic, what is my conversion, what is like all the metrics people have in funnels. This was funnels in real life. Like the national ad machine was pumping people through the door with low priced, easy to reach offers, buy now, pay later, interest-free credit, loss leading prices, etc. Our job was to get them from they think they're coming for the $299 sofa to leave with a $2,000 transaction. They think they're getting 4 years interest-free credit. Let's help them pay cash for it. They think they don't need anything else. Let's get footstools and fabric protection, all the upsells with it. And the difference between you order taking was that you made $4 worth of commission on that one transaction, and the difference between you developing a short, rapid-fire consultative sales process meant you made $300 on that transaction. I'm translating currencies for the benefit of our audience, but like there's a big difference, right? It still goes on the scoreboard as a sale, but one pays you this much and one pays you this much. Heck yeah, sign me up for that game.
Why am I envisioning a younger Phil Jones saying to a couple walking in to buy a couch, hey, just imagine if your dog peed on this couch. You need fabric protection.
Could be as simple with a simple checkers move like that. But what I learned in that environment, and remember, people think the book Exactly What to Say is like, whoo, like that's like elementary school. It's right back to very much basics. And we'll use your music analogy is like you can play chopsticks and you're a pianist. To a point, right? You can play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and yes, you can play the piano, but you're not really a piano player. You just got a couple of things you can do on a piano. And sometimes like the single words that show up in the book, like Exactly What to Say, used like that. In the musical world, you'd go from like learning to play single notes to learning to play chords to then being able to play scales. Then you might be able to do some sheet music, and then you might be able to learn to play jazz. But it's got to go through all of those different
progressions
progressions
to get to that place of
to
being
get
an
to that
actual
given
musician.
point.
Yeah.
The puzzle I loved in the furniture retail environment was the number of reps you could get in a short period of time. Is open 7 days a week, 100 plus conversations per day, most people showing up on purpose. So they were coming with an intention to probably be able to buy something soon. How many one-on-one sales conversations do you get to have in a like 4 or 5 year career in that given environment? Now what you then learn is your primary currency of getting paid more in those environments is time. Because if you've got 60, 70, 80 people coming through your doors on that day, and you've also got 3, 4, 5 other salespeople that are wandering the floor, if you can close a high standard transaction in 12 to 13 minutes versus 30 minutes, well, look what difference you can make to your pay packet.
So let's translate this. Let's compress it and translate this for a real estate agent, especially let's take during the pandemic. Okay, you have an open house. You have 60 to 80 people coming through, groups of people, but you don't have 4 other salespeople on the floor.
Yeah.
So now, to your point, reps and time. I agree that is a way to make money in this business. But
In real estate, they got reps and times of the wrong thing. They got reps and time of the easy button.
tell me more.
Is where did people get reps and times in transactions in today's real estate market? They got it between 2020 and now. And if you look at between 2020 and now, it was order taking. In my furniture retail days, one of our busiest times was like December the 26th through to January the 1st. We'd run massive sales. I built sales processes that were slower than what many would deal with. I built sales processes in that environment that what would happen is people would get fewer objections. What the big heavy hitters would do on those days is they would order take. They would write orders up. They would then invite objections and then overcome objections. They end the day exhausted. They'd have X amount of dollars on the scoreboard and they'd look like they're number one on the day. The old fashioned, like, let me write up as many orders as I can. Fast forward 21 days after that days, all of these deals stick, all of these deals cancel. These have problems in them. These have mis-selling in them. These also weren't sold with the extras on the right terms. This person earns this much money. This person's money amplified. We completely changed the nature of what happened in that or entire organization by teaching people to slow down to speed up, even on the busiest days. The trouble with order taking is you learn no skills. And instead, when you look at the real estate world right now, where everybody's been taking orders for a period of time, they completely miss where today's current consumer is at. Today's current consumer has no idea what they want. Yesterday's consumer is like, I know what I need it fast, help, and even if it's not perfect.
I got to leave the city. I got to move to Jersey. I don't care.
Something's happening,
Yeah.
right? And if I don't take it, somebody else is going to take
Yeah.
it quick. So just get this done quick, help. Today, well, I don't know. I could, maybe, perhaps, should I? Yeah, but what about? Like, it's a mess, the consumer at large in the real estate space. The growth of anybody's real estate business today is their ability to be able to help indecisive people make smart decisions fast. That's the skill to develop from 2025 to 2030.
Say that again one more time.
It is how do you help people make complex decisions with confidence quicker? And there will be, in every real estate agent's neighborhood, dozens or hundreds of people that in the future will say, I should have made a move in 2026. They will have a should have story that they're telling in 2032. And the reason they didn't move is because somebody couldn't help them out of that moment of indecision. They were like, yeah, well, we don't like the house, but we got a great deal on our mortgage back in 2021. And with all this talk of maybe portable mortgages, etc., I'd be a fool to be able to sell right now. We should probably keep it, even though I hate it and the commute to work is disgusting and we're never going to renovate the place and the kids are stuck in one room and we can afford to move. We're still not going to. And it's because somebody couldn't get into that conversation with them and help them realize that the move would be the right decision for them. What are most agents waiting for? They're waiting for the client to decide they're ready. And then they say, when you decide you want to sell your house, then come to me. When you decide you want to buy a house, come to me. The market doesn't exist in the you want to sell a house, you want to buy a house. The market exists way back here in the thinking about kind of, could have, would have, should have, maybe. Nobody's walking into an open house in 2025 or 26 because they were bored and had nothing to do. In the same way that nobody's walking into a DFS furniture store saying, well, what should we do with our Sunday? You don't walk around 100 staged potential hypothetical room sets for a fun day out with the kids.
So what you're saying is that there's still an urgency that is buried underneath of a lack of
There's not an
momentum
urgency,
in the
there's an importancy.
Okay,
Like,
so
it's important for people to understand what decision they're looking to be able to make, but they're playing way further back. Look, what happens is somebody walks into a furniture store, an average salesperson is looking to say, which one do you like, and how do I start writing your order up for you, and then what can I do to add some extras? A more skilled professional builds context first.
Tell me more on that.
Somebody walks into a department store. Somebody walks into a furniture retail business. What historically would everybody say? They'd say, good morning, good afternoon, welcome, if there's anything I can do to help. Right? Would say, what brings you in? Which is a stupid question to ask too. People ask that at open houses all the time. It is, we want to go back in time and ask people questions they know the answers to. People are so fearful of being sold to that the minute you get them into a questioning process that feels like there could be potentially wrong answers to this, the guard goes up. So whether it's a department store environment, whether it's a furniture retail environment, or whether it's an open house, the question I typically ask on arrival is, where have you travelled from to be here today? Which is very close to the question that you asked, but it's not the same. Like, what brings you in today says, tell me why you're here. That's what you want to know. If I say, where have you travelled from today? Their inside voice says, I know the answer to this question, and they'll tell you. But how much context do you get? Oh, well, we've travelled from 30 miles away because we're moving to the area because the job's changing. Oh, that's pretty useful. Oh, we live around the corner and we saw an advert on the TV and we thought we'd stick our head in.
And so now you have context. I can be, oh, wow, your job's changing. It's fantastic. I'm curious, what do you do for a living?
You could do that, right? But we're still going to go current and next. I'd still go back in time. See, if you want to be able to propel something forward, typically you have to recoil it before you're going to give it enough momentum for it to be able to shoot forward, right? Just basic physics. Like, I have to pull it, you have to pull it back if I want it to go further. Same is true in conversation when you're trying to get somebody through change. You need to build some evidence backwards before you can then use that evidence to drive forward.
This conversation showed the power of precision, intention, and practice. Phil reminded us that communication is a skill, not a talent, and that confidence is something we borrow before we build. Drew brought the coach's perspective that people do not lack desire. They lack clarity, structure, and the belief that they can grow through hard things. If you want to lead people, influence outcomes, or elevate your team, the lessons here are simple. Care about details. Practice deliberately. Make the hard things normal. And help people see the version of themselves they have not yet discovered. Like Phil says, keep getting better on purpose. And I will see you soon.